Hi guys, welcome to another Comet Footy Tip Help video. In today's guys, we're going to have a look at how you can create player registration items. Now in the previous one we had a look at items overall, and this one we're going to focus a bit more on creating one specifically for players. So once logged in, you want to select the clubs item here from the left hand pane and then select new club item. Now in the type field, you want to select anything from first kicks all the way down to senior futsal, depending on the registration that you're trying to create. So let's start with the football-based ones. So from first kicks down to senior football, we'll all create a player type registration in your club for the discipline of football. Now, if it's first kicks, players that can select this must be aged between 3 and 7. For fun football, they must be aged between 6 and 9. For mini football, they must be aged between 8 and 13. Youth football, they must be aged between 12 and 19, and senior football, they must be aged 14 up. So let's create a mini football one. So as you can see, by selecting that there, automatically the name field and the description fields become pre-populated with some default text. Now you can change this to be whatever you want. We do recommend though that you at least include the age that's applicable for it and item name. So I'm just going to keep on one as it is, and the description box, make sure you put in any information that's relevant to the person or that they should know when selecting this item. Next, you want to select the payment model. So depending on what your club is doing, you're going to have 3 options. Free. Now this means that the item is free of cost, so anyone selecting this item will not have to make payment for it. Then you've got pay later. Now selecting this means that a person, they can either select to pay for the item online or they can select to pay later. We recommend this one here if your club isn't doing online payments. That way members can be registered to your club by selecting pay later and then make payment in other terms, whether by cash, check or online banking. And payable, this one here, a person cannot continue with complete registration unless they have made payment for the item. So we're going to stick with payable for now. Now in the payment account, you want to enter your paymark number. I'm just going to enter in 5 zeros. Now, if you're selecting pay later as an option and you're in the process of beginning to get your paymark account set up, we suggest that you just put pay later in and just select the 5 zeros for now until you get your actual paymark number. Next, you want to then select the fee model. If you select by selecting inclusive, this means that your club will absorb the transaction fee amount. So say the item costs $100, the person will pay $100, and then your club at the end of the month will be charged minus 2.5% of the transaction. If you use user pays, then this means that you are on charging that cost onto the member. So if the item again costs $100, the person will pay $102.50. So select the one that's relevant to your club. We'll go with inclusive for this one. Then select save. By doing that, you get a bit more options available to you. At any point, you can go back in and edit this item. By going through documents, you can add an image to it. This is particularly useful if you want to add anything such as what the kit looks like or even your club logo. So by selecting documents, then selecting upload file to select it from your computer. Then you've got 3 tabs here: pricing, purchases, and custom attributes. So in the pricings one, here you can add the cost of the item. So by selecting add, you can put in a description for it. And then select where it's available from and the price of it. Now, if a member tries to purchase item outside of the date, so let's say they try to select it, let's make it 28th. And let's say they try to select it any point between now and the 28th, they won't be able to select the item. They'll say that the item is not yet available. So bear that in mind when selecting the valid from date. Then select save. You'll notice as well, they can add more prices to it. So if your club has multiple price instructions, say for early bird and late registration, then you can add another price to it. If you are going to add another price, then the valid until field must be completed. So let's edit this price here and give it a valid until date. So let's say end of March. and we'll call it early bird. And then now we'll add a late registration cost. That one there must be available after the previous cost. So since that one was available until 31st of March, we must begin on the 1st of April. And then we will call this one here $20. Now, even if you don't use multiple pricing structures, we do advise that you do a valid until date until the end of the season. This way there, if anyone is trying to register when your club potentially isn't ready, they're not selecting an old registration item if your club decides to set up later on in the year. So we will just make this end of the season to ensure that once the season is done, no one selects the item until we are ready to be set up. Now, next you will have the purchases tab. So anyone that selects this item, they'll be visible here. You'll see who they are, when they paid, the amount they paid, and the status of that payment. So being paid, unpaid, or cancelled. We've also got 3 additional options here: create unpaid invoice, create paid invoice, and create invoice without payment. Now, create an unpaid invoice refers to adding the payment manually against a person's record with the status of that being not paid. So input the details as required here. You can adjust the price if you want to, and then select save. With creating a paid invoice, exactly the same workflow, except the status of this payment will be paid. Create invoice without payment, brackets free. Now what this one refers to is if the item is recognized and the item has a cost, but for whatever reason, this person is not making payment for it. So it's particularly useful if you have a person that is going through hardship or can't make payment for an item. You can then give to the item for free, if you will. But again, it recognizes the item does have a cost, but they have received it for free. We'll touch up on survey in just a minute. Now, finally, the last box here, custom attributes. This refers to custom fields. So by selecting a new attribute, you can choose to collect additional information about a person during registration. So for example, you may want to ask the question of, can you coach? In the description box, you can put information that the person will see to help them complete this information. So it could be, please indicate if you can coach. If you tick the required box, it means that a person cannot complete registration without completing this information. And then next you want to select the field type. If you select one line of text, it means that it is a very similar box to this, so intended for short answers. Multiple lines of text, the box will be bigger and useful for long answers. Date refers to a date type field, so the meaning the person must select a date in that box, such as 1st to 1st, 2019. A number, the person must input numbers in that field only. A checkbox, exactly like this field here, so the person must tick or untick. With the drop-down box, they have the options of selecting an option out of multiple options. So you notice that as soon as you click the drop-down box here, this box becomes available. So to input different options, you would then do option 1, and the next option is then separated by a comma. So by putting a comma, I'm now writing option 2. And then option 3 could be maybe. So that comma there is your separator. This tells the system that this is one option, this is another option, and this is another option. And then finally, you've got file. File allows users to upload a file against the registration. So we'll drop down box and we'll pick options of yes and no. And then save. In the form over here, you can see all the items, custom attributes, that you've created. And over here, you can move up or move down on the order for which they will appear on the My Comment side. And at any point, you can edit the custom attribute or delete it. Now, going back to that server option we saw in the previous box, by clicking this one here, this will show you everyone that selected this item or registered to it, and then also the answers they've given for your custom fields. So in a nutshell, guys, that is how you would create a player type registration. So the key thing with this one here is ensuring that in the type option, you select from first kicks down to senior football for football-based registrations, or from junior futsal down to senior futsal for futsal-based registrations.